When you get stressed, for instance, at the end of a day,
Yeah.
and you find yourself ruminating about it throughout the evening, can you tell what the pattern tends to be? Like what you tend to get stuck on?
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I think with like work, and I guess it's the same with like relationships or family. It's just like, what if I'm not good enough? What if people see that I'm like not measuring up? What are people gonna think of me now? Oh my God, maybe I'm not good enough. So I think with work, it can be like that in that context. With family, it can be like that too. And then same thing with relationships.
And so I would call that like a pervasive negative belief. So certain situations trigger pervasive negative beliefs for you, and then that's where you get caught, even if you're practicing healthy lifestyle behaviors. So how do you challenge that kind of belief that you're not good enough, or how do you relate to it well?
I think the first thing is like catching that it's happening. And then once I'm able to catch it, almost like I don't know if I would say like study it or just like be more curious about it and be like, oh, why am I thinking about it that way versus like another way? At least for like the work context too, we have like a women's career chat once a month. And then just even talking to other women and realizing like, oh yeah, like other women think this way too for whatever reason. And then we all kind of come together. And I'm able to be like, oh yeah, sometimes I think about it too. So just like sharing or relating with other people and then being able to almost like study it at a distance and not feeling like it's part of me, but almost like a thought that just kind of like passes through. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
both of those are wonderful. So just to summarize that back to you, first off, with the normalization, I think something like I'm not good enough often makes people feel shame, and then they get stuck in whatever triggered the narrative that they're not good enough because of the shame that they're experiencing. So sharing it with other people and normalizing the experience and just being vulnerable in that way can really alleviate shame and help you get through experiences that way. So that kind of sharing is great. The other thing that you're saying about studying it or observing it, I think reminds me of wise mind. So it's that part of ACT where you're able to see yourself in context and get distance from, kind of observe yourself as somebody experiencing something challenging rather than being fused to the content as though it's your only reality. And so when you can have that observing self, you have a chance of relating to it differently, which then can help you get perspective. Do you feel like it helps you get better perspective?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And can you tell where that narrative is coming from? Does it matter to you?
I don't know. I guess I don't think about it as much as like where does this come from or like why do I think in this way? Um, I don't know. I feel like maybe it's like with my parents, like growing up, like they weren't around as much. So I feel like I constantly had this narrative in my head is like, oh, what's wrong with me that like I'm not getting the attention that I want and stuff like that. So maybe it like stems from there and that narrative then tends to like sprinkle itself on every aspect of my life.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I think a lot of people think that they would develop the narrative that they're not good enough if they're um, for instance, they failed at various things growing up or even throughout their adult lives, but it's just as common, or if not more common, that that sense of worthlessness comes from not having your needs met early on, and then feeling like in order to get your needs met, you're going to have to um, meet certain conditions. And so it's like in any given, is there something that's coming to mind for you?
Yeah, I was gonna say it totally feels like the latter. And like I almost feel like I've been a super achiever all of my life, as if like, oh, if I can just do these things, and like I won't have these thoughts, or then like I won't these thoughts like won't bother me or attach to me anymore. So I feel like in the past, those thoughts have almost driven me to like do really well in school, do like a lot of extracurriculars, do really well at my job, and everything like that.
Yeah, so you were responding to that narrative in a really conditional way, where like if I can just succeed all the time, then I'll never have to feel worthless. But really that feeling of worthlessness is a narrative about you. It's not a truth about you, and it's coming from a childhood need that wasn't met, that now in adulthood you can never go back to that time, but also you're not as dependent as you were at that time. So just having compassion when it's triggered, you just want to have compassion on yourself for what you've been through, but then also get perspective that you don't have to you don't have to meet whatever conditions your mind is perceiving in any given moment. Do you have
Right.
thoughts about that?
No, I think that's exactly right. Like, I think you learn in time that like no matter what you achieve, then that feeling's there. So like, kind of out achieving it isn't really effective. But like you said, just kind of like examining it, getting maybe like distance from it or studying it, is helpful in terms of like shaping it to, oh, this isn't like something about me, but just like a feeling or experience that I'm having right now.